My name is Shelly Bohy, and I am a special education teacher at Lifescape.
And can we have a tour of your excellent classroom?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell us about this board.
This is just a hodgepodge, really, of cards to help with transitioning as we go out the door. Some of the students need to know where they're going, or if they're going to be seen with a therapist, or need to use the bathroom, just for transitioning purposes of where they're going. Some of them are objects for the kids that are visually impaired or blind, so that they can feel the object and it correlates to where they're going. So the same object will be outside the door. This is obviously an object, but if they're going to OT or PT, outside the OT PT door is the exact same object where she can feel and realize that she's in the right spot.
Why do you have this right by the door?
Just for convenience of as we're going out, we can grab it. So most of the kids will have their own books or some kind of a device with them. If at some point they don't have that and we just need a quick reference, we can come over here and grab. So that you can see it's quite a hodgepodge of different things. It's not necessarily meant for a student or a couple of students, but it's just in a quick hurry. It's right there, easy to access next to the door.
Remember, to support transitions, keep your symbols by the door for easy access. And remember, the rough Velcro goes on the symbol side, the smooth Velcro goes on the display to hold it in place. Okay, so we have their pictures covered up, right, to protect their identities, but you have a strip for each student?
Yes, pretty much. Each student that can utilize a strip like this. Some of the students have their own devices where they can have their schedule on their device. So it might be, and some students can handle more pictures. So some of them like a first then, maybe 2 or 3 pictures just for the morning, and then we can reset it up in the afternoon instead of having the whole day at once. But it's a basic, when we get to school, we can go over our schedule for the morning and say, first we're going to have opening, then you're going to go to the nurse, depending on what the student is, or have social studies, or whatever their schedule is for the day. Everybody likes to know what's going to happen in their day. So,
and what did you say about the organization of this board? Top to bottom?
In the past, I'd used in a lot of the classrooms, you'll see a schedule that goes from top to bottom, so they know what's coming up during the day. I started to do a left to right because of reading. When you read a book or a magazine, whatever, you're going to read from left to right with words. So I wanted them to get used to starting at the left, going across to the right. And even if they're not reading the actual words at this time, eventually I'm hoping that we can shrink the picture down just using the words, that they'll recognize what those words mean, making the words bigger, pictures smaller. And that's our goal in every aspect, really.
There should be one symbol strip for each student. Arrange the symbols from right to left because that's the way we read, and always include text to go along with each symbol.
This particular student does not have the ability to use the eye gaze to look at the pictures, so he uses a switch, and again he'll say,
I have something to say.
I have something to say, and he uses his hand. It's just a very small flicker of the hand that he has the ability to use. And then I can switch it to,
My turn, please.
oops, let me switch that back. It says that one. So I switch it, once he asks tells me he has something to say, I'll switch it to that one. And again, we have this whole book. This book is a lot thicker because his family has also helped in letting us know the things that he does at home that they might want to have access to, having him be able to say or talk about. So his book is very thick. It's got tabs so we can kind of jump to things. So when he says he has something to say, we kind of start by going through categories. Do you want something? And we wait for 10 seconds. He has a little slower processing time, so we have to allow enough time for him to be able to answer and think it through. Do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to say something? Is there something wrong? Things like that. So once he selects a category, we can turn to that page and we can start going through individual items. Always there's usually a let's do something else, or I don't like this, or something like that. So it could be yes/no questions. And usually I'll just go through a row. Did you want to say yes or no, or do you need something else? And then if he does pick that row, then I'll go slowly through each one. Usually yes/no isn't an option for something other than when you're asking questions, but
and then how does he respond to pick something?
He'll hit his switch. So as I go through each one, I'll say, I'll ask a category. When he hears the category,
That one.
He'll say that one. And then when he picks the category, I'll start going through them. Did you want more of that? And I'll wait 10 seconds. Were you all done with that? And
That one.
he just switch to select whatever answer he has. Again, very time consuming, but once you get to know the student pretty well, it helps to kind of narrow down what they might be trying to get to. But
This is how partner-assisted scanning works. The student has a single message button to say, "I have something to say." Once he gets the partner's attention, the partner has to change the level so it says, "That one." Then list categories and messages while pointing, and wait at least 10 seconds for a response.
this particular student doesn't show any response, no smiles, doesn't cry, doesn't show any reaction to toys or anything that he likes. The first time we gave him this and he started saying things like he was scared, he wanted I mean, it blew our minds. So it really opened up a whole door for him just to be able to say things. And now kids that switch all the time, he loves to talk. So now we can't keep him quiet.
What was he scared of?
At the time, he was about to have surgery on his back. So going through this, we found out that he was scared, that he didn't know exactly what was happening, that no one had really sat down with him and told him what was going to happen. The student is 14. He had requested that his dad or mom talk to him so we could let mom and dad know. He wanted, first family member to be able to sit and talk to him about what was going to happen and ease his fears, really. And it made sense. People talk about him all around him all the time. He's going to these appointments, but nobody really sat and talked to him. So now he had a way to say, hey, I want to know what's going on.
Right.
And it was wonderful. And since then, he's been doing great using this book. So again, hopefully he can move to a more sophisticated device that has a lot more options where he can scan. He won't be able to use the eye gaze, but he can use a switch that will activate the device.
That one.
This illustrates the AAC principle of no prerequisites. This student did not demonstrate communicative behavior until partner-assisted scanning was introduced. When it was, the student communicated about fears about an upcoming surgery.
During the course of a week, we do all kinds of lessons. We do science, social studies, math, writing, language arts, health class. All of those things are incorporated into a week. All of those things are done in a typical school. We also do them here. We do definitely make some adaptations. I use a lot of picture symbols with a lesson. So when I do a group lesson, I will stand at the smart board. I have 10 students. They're all surrounding me. Some of the students might use a picture symbol of actual pictures. Some students can use symbols that are generated by the computer, so they might not be real pictures, but depending on their level, they might require real pictures. Some of the students might use objects, so you'll see strange objects depending on what the lesson's about. If they're blind, they might need to have something that they can feel and hold to relate to the lesson. The main purpose of my lessons usually are exposure to the actual activity or the subject matter, but also communication. So the students all have switches or an iPad or some kind of device where they can ask for turns, they can make statements throughout, they can ask questions throughout. We're really working on initiating those things on their own without having a staff having to come up to them and ask them, do you have something you want to say, things like that.
In this classroom, the lessons target exposing students to curriculum content and providing communication opportunities, especially initiation.
The staff sit between all the students. We call it leader prompting, leader prompter. The teacher's the leader, so I do the lesson. The staff sits silently, but they prompt throughout the entire lesson. So if I say, does anybody want to turn to make it read, which I usually do with a switch, they can activate the computer to start the lesson or something like that. The staff is there doing cues silently. They're not saying anything out loud, but they might assist the student to access their switch or the iPad or pull a picture card out or raise their hand or whatever need be. So they're there to help assist with the communication, but they're silent. Silent prompters. So.
In this classroom, staff are silent prompters. They support students without talking and rely on gestures and physical support.
Without the staff, it would be very hard to do the lessons. The staff do the things over and over again. Some of the students require multiple times of modeling the same thing over and over again before it clicks and they get it. So if you waited 1 or 2 days and thought, oh, they don't understand it, you're giving up a little too early. Some of my students take months before it clicks for them, and then they start doing it independently. So it's important that the staff are constantly modeling for them over and over, helping prompt them to do those things. So
it takes time to learn to communicate, sometimes a long time. These students need communication models over and over and over again. Progress occurs in baby steps and can take months. Don't give up too soon.
My students that are ambulatory, who can walk, they might have some kind of a system that they carry around their neck or on their shoulder, and they kind of keep them with them at all times. The students that have wheelchairs, it's pretty simple to just keep things on their chair in their backpack so they're easily accessible. But another thing that we do is we assign staff students for the day, and in the morning you kind of know which students you're going to work with, and you can get your materials ready, and we wear these nifty little aprons, and in the aprons we have quick reference things that we can grab out. So if we're in the hallway, we for some reason forgot their picture book or whatever, we still have access to some communication that we can pull out quickly and show to them. But for the most part, it's a matter of really training, making sure staff know that at the beginning of the day, switches go on everybody's chairs, they stay with them. Doesn't matter, that is their voice. The way we talk about it is you don't want a piece of duct tape over your mouth during certain parts of your day. Don't take their equipment away, because that's their voice. So of course, when we lay down or have to change a brief or use the restroom, sometimes those things do get left, but that's when you have hopefully the staff have their pictures with them and things like that to use an alternative form of communication. But the kids in wheelchairs that have like Tobies and that kind of thing all have bars that attach, so it's with them wherever they go as long as they're in their chair.
So it's really kind of about making it a priority.
It is making it a priority. It's definitely not successful every day. There are always times where we say, oh, you forgot this, or you're outside and the sun's shining down and you can't actually see the device because of the glare. There's always little things that happen like that, and then you got to pull out pictures or things like that. Or they break, things get lost. But it's making it a priority. It's definitely number one.
The student always needs a way to communicate. Staff can carry backup communication symbols for basic communication needs. The bottom line is that communication must be a priority for everyone in the classroom.
Individual IEP goals that maybe are touched on during an activity. So during opening time, I know that this student could possibly be working on this communication goal, this goal for this goal for that. So we kind of track that throughout the day. Everything is recorded. Even when they go to music class, if they go to computer class, PE class, goals are documented throughout the day. So a lot of their goals relate to communicating, which you do all day long. It's not just while you're in a classroom. So to me, it's important that those things are documented in the natural environment, wherever they are. If they're in the bathroom and a staff walks by and they say hello, and that's one of their goals, it's documented, and we record that. So
everybody's aware of all of the goals.
The staff have to be very aware of what the goals are. When they work with their groups, they have 2 students. They know what all of their goals are. So when we're doing a math activity, they know exactly which goals we're working on during that activity. When we're doing an opening activity, they know which goals are being worked on. Then of course there's the individual times where you sit with that student, you work one-on-one with them. They get credit for everything they do. Let's put it that way. We don't want to miss anything, because we want to take pride in every little thing that they do, that we can say, yes, they're making, they've achieved something, is mountains to us. So
to document progress, everyone in the classroom needs to be aware of the students' communication goals so they can record spontaneous communication whenever it happens.
18 years ago when I started teaching, everything was functional. What do the kids need to function in society? You don't need to do science and math and all those other things. And I don't know, 5-6 years ago, the state came in and says, hey, we need to start exposing these children to the things that are happening in the public schools and their everyday, you don't know what they're taking in. And I thought, oh, that's crazy at first. And then when I started doing it, it started to be the lessons were just, here's a lesson on science, we'll take a half hour of a day, we'll do this lesson, there you go. Now it's their goals are incorporated into everything we do, so it's a lot of communication. My main goal is that they're initiating conversations, they're asking questions. I'm not necessarily as concerned about them answering comprehension questions. Do they know, what does this mean and what does that mean? But were they able to ask a question and or tell me they don't understand this, or tell me more about it, or I really like this, or I really don't like this. Those things are important to me because they are functional in life, and so we're still working on functional things and being exposed to grade level materials that they'll see in a public school, and it's all incorporated into one thing now. So, and I love it. We learn stuff every day.